So in the last 48 hours, I've done a bit of experimenting where I'm running localized large language models on my machine, as opposed to using your online models, your ChatGPTs or your Copilots or the varying models. There's a good reason why you might want to run these models locally, one being cost. So because I'm running this model locally, the only cost is my PC being switched on. I'm not paying for tokens. And when you're doing things at scale, all of a sudden the amount of tokens that you use becomes quite big. So you get control over cost. The other thing that I'm getting is total data security. So I've downloaded the large language models and I've added my own data to them, but now that is living entirely on my laptop. So in terms of data security, nothing is going out as a request and nothing is coming back in. I've got total control over the security of my data. The other thing that I've got is control over how that model is working. This is partly why I started looking into this, so that it's not a black box. So the first experiment that I did was to run 200 lines of Python code using a very small model that had 4,000 parameters in it. And all that did is it read in a load of names. It ran a localized sequence to then generate a random name on the basis of those that had been fed in. That was just a training model to get me familiar with how this worked. Then I scaled up and I went to a GTP model. So I used GTP2, which has, what we're looking at, GTP2 medium. So that had 335 million parameters in it, so quite a jump. But that wasn't quite good enough for my needs. So I went up again. I used a Microsoft model, phi-3 mini, and that's got 3.8 billion parameters. So when I'm running these queries locally on my laptop, it's taking 30 seconds per query, but that's still quite quick, bearing in mind the billions of parameters. What I did find when I was using these is, at first, I was seeing some gaps. I had to supplement the data that was in the LLM that I downloaded with my data. So I did an experiment where I asked it questions about me personally, using my name and my surname. And I explained to the LLM, I said, right, tell me what colour Martin Farrell's desk is. And it came back and it went, it just made up a story. It made up a different surname for me. It made up a different name for me. And it told me that my desk was of a particular colour, which was information that wasn't in that model. So I thought, what's going on? What was going on is that the model didn't have the context it required. So I did some RAG. So I fed into the model an additional data set. And in that data set, I put my name, I put the parameters of my desk and the colour. And I trained my model to use that to augment its responses using that data. Now that didn't work. So it came back and it went, Martin's desk is green, which is what I taught it. But it also, I then said, what colour is Martin Farrell's cat? And it came back and it said, Martin Farrell's cat is green. It had hallucinated that. It had hallucinated it because it had tried to do its best for me with the information I had provided it. So it had its base knowledge, it had the augmented knowledge, which didn't mention a cat, mentioned a desk, not a cat. And it sort of went, okay, Martin Farrell got that information. Martin Farrell's desk is green, maybe his cat is green. So then I went on to prompt engineering. So using the same model, the same augmented data set, but a better engineered prompt, I was able to get the response that I wanted. Now, this is early stage experimentation, but you have to do this experimentation to get from A to B. There are options. You can buy in models. they'll be expensive. You won't quite have the control that you're looking for, but it will be fast. But if you need to augment your data in a secure way, this might be one way to go. So, how did I get there? Well, within 48 hours, I've done all this, and bearing in mind that I hadn't written much Python before, hadn't used Visual Studio much before, and hadn't done much with LLMs before, but I've managed to turn this round in 48 hours. How? I used AI to write AI. So I connected Claude up with my Visual Studio so that it could see the code that I was attempting to write and supplement it with some recommendations. I reviewed those recommendations and we are where we are. So I have now got a model that I can use, train on my own data, running on my own laptop, which will cost me nothing. And it will earn me the ability to understand how this kind of technology works, so that even if I buy technology off the shelf, I will still have that underpinning knowledge of how everything works. Every day is a school day. If you want to know how to do this, I've written a PDF, and it doesn't have all the mistakes in it. It just skips all the learnings that I did and gets straight to the point where you've got a RAG augmented model running on an LLM model on your laptop with some pretty good results. So you'll be able to run it. It will work. All the instructions are in the PDF. If you want that, just comment. I'll send it to you. Keep learning.